Hi and welcome to August new releases. I am very late with this video. I'm filming it on 31st of July and hopefully I will be able to post it either on 2nd or on 3rd of August, depending on how busy my weekend is, which is currently looking quite busy. So then at least, even though it's posted in August, it is before the first release that I am going to talk about. And all the books are listed in the publication date, and I am starting off with fantasy sci-fi, and I talk in that genre first of the new releases, and then I cover any next installment in a series, which there's going to be quite a few this month, and then I move on to all the other genres. And when I say all the other genres, I mean all the other genres. Sometimes I also include some nonfiction. It's not going to be the case this month. And sometimes I also talk about some special new releases, or sorry, some special new editions coming out, but that is again not going to be the case this month. And the first book that I would like to talk about, and it's one I am particularly excited about, based on the pure influence of Instagram, and it is a book coming out on 4th of August, and the name is The Iron Hags by Victoria S. Walsh. And it is a new romance fantasy, and our main character is charming, curvy redhead who I believe is a potion witch, though I might be wrong about that. I am really excited about this book. I'm sort of a little bit in love with Victoria. She is so charming and she's so passionate about her book, and she's so passionate about her brand, and she's so incredibly confident, so incredibly beautiful. And watching her Instagrams and seeing her in these beautiful dresses and fantastic whimsical outfits, just I can't not be excited about her debut, truly. So the book is coming out on 4th of August. Unfortunately, in the UK, there's not many places where you can get it. I believe the US has a better luck with that. It was posted on Amazon and you could pre-order it on Amazon, but now it's gone from Amazon. You can pre-order it from Blackwell's and you should be able to buy it from Blackwell's. I couldn't find it on Waterstones. I'm not entirely sure how the shipping from US would go, but you can give that a go as well. But on Blackwell's, it's still in stock. I checked just now before talking about it, so if you're interested, I'm sure you can grab a copy. And on that same date, 4th of August is actually going to be quite the busy day of releases, is the Immortal game by Allison Saft. And Allison Saft is somebody I have heard of a lot, but I'm not familiar with her writing. I have never read anything by her. And I believe this one is a YA standalone, though do correct me if I'm wrong. And the synopsis is 6 years ago, Shea Fury's sister was whisked away by the High King of the Otherworlds, the ruler of the treacherous land of Fae. Although Shea has spent the years since dreaming of rescuing her sister from captivity, the iron veil that separates the human world from the Fae world has made it only a wish. That is, until an invitation to participate in a once-in-a-lifetime chess tournament in the Otherworld arrives to Shea's doorstep. The winner of the tournament may ask the High King to grant one wish, and Shea is finally within reach of hers. As far as I'm aware, it's coming out only in a standard hardback. I couldn't find any special editions. It definitely sounds like a really interesting premise, and from what I've heard, Allison Saft's writing is also pretty good, so it might be something that I would be interested in picking up. And then on that same date, we have Steelborn by Taylor J. LaRue. I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name. First book in the Steelborn saga. Enter a world ruled by tyrants and thieves where magic is outlawed, revolution brews, desire is dangerous, and an impossible cure may prove deadlier than the curse. And from what I have seen, it will be available in a standard hardback, and there's also an exclusive edition from Waterstones. And the very last release on 4th of August is Time Travel for Beginners by Jacqueline Moriarty. Three strangers' lives are forever changed when they are all drawn to a mysterious agency claiming to have unlocked the secret to time travel. It will be available in standard hardback, and as far as I have seen ARC reviews of the sci-fi book, it sounds like a really good book to pick up. It sort of gives me a bit of a cozy sci-fi vibe. I think I would be quite right in saying that. So it definitely sounds like something that I could potentially be interested in. And then on 6th of August, the very anticipated release, at least for myself, The Infinite State by Richard Swan. The Infinite State begins at a flashpoint in the lives of a widowed party member, a disgraced investigator, and a hyper-sled pilot, entangled in a plot to escape the suffocating authority of a fascist state. It will be available in a standard hardback, and skip this part if you don't like spoilers. I believe this is the August pick for the Broken Bindings sci-fi and fantasy book. I might be wrong, but I am pretty sure it is, and I'm really looking forward to receiving my copy. It is a book that I was quite looking forward to. I'm not familiar with Richard Swan's writing. If I'm not mistaken, he has only written fantasy so far. Please correct me if I am wrong. But his fantasy has really good reviews, and I was eyeing it for quite a while. So, really excited for this release and really looking forward to reading it. And then on 11th August is the Dungeon book by Gareth Hanrahan. I am very sorry if I'm butchering the last name. A young girl is left to die in a wizard's dungeon, but finds a new home with the monsters around her in this humorous and heartfelt standalone. It will be available in standard hardback, and the Broken Binding is also releasing a special edition. And again, close your ears if you don't want to hear. I believe this is the epic fantasy choice for Fairy Loot, so I am going to be receiving my copy as the epic fantasy choice for Fairy Loot, so I'm quite looking forward to it. I've seen somebody compare it to The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. I can kind of see where they're coming from with the humor and monsters. I don't know if it would have the same sort of grimdark taste of Joe Abercrombie. I kind of hope it does, but I also kind of hope it doesn't. So I'll see how I like it. And then on 13th of August, we are getting the newest release from Olivie Blake, and it's called Dreamland. It kind of sounds more like a thriller mystery than anything fantastical, though I do think there's a bit of a fantasy element. Olivia Blake is somebody whose writing I am not familiar with, but I have had probably the most mixed reviews of her. From what I've gathered from the reviews that I have seen, is she always has really interesting concepts, but I sort of gathered that those concepts don't really fulfill into good writing. Correct me if I'm wrong. Some people love her. I have seen quite negative reviews of her writing and of her books, so far, I have sort of stayed away, and I don't know if this is going to be the release that I pick up and am particularly interested in. It is coming out in a hardback, and there's also a special edition. So, if you are interested or if you love her writing, then you should definitely check this out. And then the last new release is on 25th of August, The Dark in Her Veins by M.K. Lobb, a noir romantic fantasy set in a world in which sin is a fatal disease, and the rich hire the poor to carry out their basest instincts until the forbidden romance between a sinner and a mysterious figure threatens to destroy everything. It will be available only in a paperback, and to be honest, the premise sounds quite interesting. Now, moving on, we do have quite a few of next installments in the series, and on 4th of August is probably one of the most anticipated fantasy releases of the year, A Trade of Blood by Robert Jackson Bennett, and it's the third book in the Shadow of a Leviathan series. It will be available in a standard hardback. There's also a signed edition. There was a couple of special editions around different publishers, but unfortunately, I think all of them are currently sold out. Though, if you do want to pick up a special copy, then I'm sure you will be able to pick it up from one of the resellers on eBay or Vinted. And then on that same date, on 4th of August, The Lion and a Deathless Dog by Carissa Broadbent. And it is a fifth book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. It will be available in a hardback and in a signed special edition. And again, it is the same story. There were a couple of special editions available, but unfortunately are currently sold out. And then on the 6th of August, we have Sea of Charms by Sarah Beth Death. It is the third book in the Spell Shop series, my personal favorite cozy fantasy series. I am a huge fan of her writing, it's just so charming. It will be available in a standard hardback. And then on that same date, on 6th of August, Adversary to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Maehrer. I'm very sorry if I'm butchering that. It is a book 4 in the Assistant to the Villain series, and it will be available in a standard paperback. And then on 18th of August, a very interesting release from Kimberly Lemming, I Punched an Alien and Now We're in Couples Therapy. It is a second book in Cosmic Chaos series. It will be available in a paperback. And if you're familiar with Kimberly Lemming's writing or her releases. This is definitely on brand with mashing up the most unmashable couples. So I am actually quite excited. I haven't read any of her books. They are on my TBR, but I have heard really good things about them. So quite looking forward to potentially picking that up sometime in the future. And then on 25th of August is the release of Daggerbound by T. Kingfisher. It is a second book in Sword Heart series, and it is a series set in the same world as Paladin's Grace. So if you're a fan of that series, then you would potentially definitely enjoy this. And it will be available in a standard paperback. And to finish up the series, on 27th of August is Earthbound by Saara El-Arifi, third book in Feybound series. Unless I'm mistaken, this is the final book in the series. Do correct me if I'm wrong. There might be a fourth one. And it will be available in a standard hardback, in a special edition available on Waterstones. There's also a Goldsboro special edition that is currently still in stock. And Fairy Loot will also be releasing their special edition. It will be available for pre-sale, I believe, on 12th of August, and then for general sale, if there's any copies left, on 13th of August. I'm not entirely sure how high demand this book would be. I have had good things. I have heard a couple of bad things about the series, but I know that she's very loved as an author, so there's a good chance that it will never go on general sale, but it's worth checking out. And now moving on to all the other fiction, and there's quite a couple of thrillers coming out in the August, so I'm actually quite excited for some of them. On 4th of August is The Unknown by Riley Sager. I am not familiar with Riley Sager's writing, but I have heard exclusively only good things, so I'm quite curious to pick up one of his books, and this definitely sounds like one that I would be interested in. And the synopsis is: in 1926, five women disappeared from a remote island in Vermont. Now, 100 years later, it's happening again. It will be available in a standard hardback. I couldn't find any special editions, and honestly, the premise sounds really interesting. I quite like the idea of a thriller of sort of the history repeats itself sort of killings. So definitely one that I would look at and see what the reviews are looking. And then on that same date, on 4th of August, How to Find Love in the Cereal Aisle by Alissa DeRogatis. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that last name. And it is a charming rom-com about the chaos of dating in your 20s, the ache of a brutal breakup, and the hilarious lengths one romance writer will go to get her spark back, including staging her own meet cutes. It sounds like a really cute premise, so definitely a book that I will be looking at and seeing how the reviews are looking. It will be available in a standard hardback. I couldn't find any special editions. And then on the 18th of August, we are getting a new cowboy romance series. The first book is going to be called Colt by Jessica Peterson. I am not familiar with Jessica Peterson's writing. I believe this isn't her first book. I am also not familiar with cowboy romances. I always think that I am going to be a huge fan of them because I love horses and because I loved Yellowstone. But I don't know, I'll give them a go at some point. It will be available in a standard paperback. I couldn't find any special editions. And then on 20th of August, The Amateur by Chris Bochalian. I am very sorry if I'm butchering that last name as well. When a young woman, a golf prodigy, accidentally kills a caddy with a stray ball at a country club, the investigation of this freak accident reveals a dark and shocking tale of secret affairs, predatory men, and a teenager on trial. It will be available in a standard hardback, and honestly, premise sounds quite interesting, so it might be one that I would pick up in the future. And on 27th of August, we are getting the release of Agrippa by Robert Harris. He is the author of Conclave, which was made into a movie and was very successful. And this is a historical fiction about Marcus Vipsanius Agrippa, who was a Roman general and statesman who was a close friend, son-in-law, and lieutenant to the Roman Emperor Augustus. It really sounds like an interesting book. It will be available in a hardback, in a signed edition from Waterstones, and then Goldsboro also has a signed edition. I believe it's not a special edition, just a signed copy. And then on 27th of August is Heart of Glass by Jennifer Hiller. A serial killer recants his long ago confession regarding a small town high school girl, and her then best friends are forced to confront what really happened that night and what's happening now. It will be available in a standard hardback. I couldn't find any special editions. And then the very last, but definitely not the least, on 28th of August, Big Little Truth by Liane Moriarty, a sequel to Big Little Lies, and it can be read by standalone according to the Goodreads description, or at least that's how I read the Goodreads description. And Liane Moriarty is an author that I'm very vaguely familiar with. I tried reading one of her books and I really enjoyed the premise and I really enjoyed the beginning of the book. But then, sometime maybe 25% in, I got a little bit lost in the story and a little bit disinterested. But I am definitely interested in picking up some of her other books. And from what I understand, Big Little Lies is definitely her best work, or at least the most popular one. It's also quite highly rated and it was made into a, I believe, HBO TV show. So the second book is her first sequel. She has never written a sequel. And this one seems quite highly anticipated, so I might potentially pick up the series and just see what I feel about it myself. And it will be available in a hardback, and there's also a signed edition. And that is it. August doesn't seem like that interesting of a release month compared to some of the other months that I have covered, but there's definitely quite a few books that I would be keeping my eye on, which is not helpful for my already broken no buy, but hey, we'll see. But please let me know if you are looking forward to any of these books, if you have maybe read any arcs, or you have some experience with these authors and you could either recommend me some of these books or convince me that I don't need the others. I would be looking forward to your comments. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see these more often, I do my absolute best to release these every single month, though usually it is in the middle of the month and not at the very beginning of the month that I'm talking about. But if you want to see more of these, then please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.